I just muted myself. Hello. Welcome to Pride or Die. I was like, I'm muted, but it did it for me. And then how you double click. I did that. It was fun. Hi, I'm Respawn. I'm joined by G and Ains, and we're back for Pride or Die. What's up, bitches?
What's up, nerds?
What's up, nerds? Technology is wonderful. Sure is. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us today. We're going to be reviewing Son of Kal-El, Superman. We got a lot to talk about. I don't know if we should front this up by saying...
Hang on, sorry, my cat has his claw stuck in my shirt. There we go.
Hi, cat. How are you doing? Which one is it?
Come here. No, you wanted. It's the big boy.
Oh, big boy, look at him.
This is Loki, and he hates being held.
Same.
He jumped down and ran away. But he loves his mama and craves attention, and so when I'm not paying attention to him, he gets very upset, and he reaches out and sticks one little claw in my sleeve, and he got stuck.
I love that. I also try and reach out one little claw whenever I'm feeling aggravated, so I can relate to that. We're going to be talking about some heavy shit. Like, this comic is great. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you both liked it. I guess we'll find out as we talk about it. But there's some real content warnings that we need to just head up with. And one of those is that, like, I live in Australia. I don't have this nonsense, but you have a lot of school shootings. And one most recent prevalent one that's been all over the news lately, and there is a school shooting within the text. So,
USA!
Yeah, if you're trying to find a time when there isn't a school shooting in the US, that's going to be difficult.
Hey, Dakota. Hey, BM. What's up? Hey, congratulations on winning all your stuff in the charity stream, by the way. You won heaps.
Winner.
Yeah,
that's
big
what
winner.
It stands for. Big winner. The W is upside down.
It's just upside down.
I love that. Big minner. Yep.
Yeah.
We will have some images that we're going to throw up, but we're going to try and be cautious around like what we're showing and let you know, like give you warnings and stuff when we're getting to certain parts. Let me start by sharing what Ainsley sent me earlier, and we'll kick it off because the premise of this is that Superman and Lois have John. That's like how it begins. And John's birth is pretty intense. Clark is like trying to fight back. What do they say? An attempted alien invasion.
Yeah, it's an alien invasion. It's an attempted alien invasion.
Right?
If there's any doubt that the series was going to be amazing, like the first 2 pages solves that for. It's just like, oh my god, aw.
Yeah, it's really sweet because you have like Clark coming back from battle to pregnant in labor Lois, and Lois is like, are you okay? And he's like, am I okay? And they're obviously both
very Lois.
scared. It's so
sweet. This picture that I sent you is not actually from that. I skipped the birth scene.
I'll take us to where we are now. Basically, it starts with him. So you see him being born. He gets this whole like, he's going to be better than Clark, blah, 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 blah. He's going to save the fucking world. Gets all that thrust on him as a baby. And Lois is like, maybe let's like just let him grow up first. And
so the line was something like, well, he hasn't even stopped breathing amniotic fluid yet. So
right.
That's exactly it. So they're trying to be good parents as well as good superheroes, because I consider Lois a superhero. Let's be honest, like she's a real life superhero.
She's absolutely
all investigative journalists are superheroes.
Yeah, 100%.
And we'll actually touch on that in this series a little, which is pretty awesome. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, that's okay. I was gonna. So Ainsley sent me these great pictures. Yeah, there's so much that goes on in this series. That's why I was just trying to like give the intro, then we get to essentially... No, you're fine. We get thrown into this scene. Ainsley, do you want to kick us off from what happens here? You want to talk about it?
So the Tom Taylor is really just an absolutely phenomenal writer. He's so good at being aware of what is going on and translating it to so when I started reading comics, one of the first books that I got into was actually Nomad. Like, nobody read Nomad but me. I get it. That's fine. If you haven't, please do. It was so good. And that series was excellent at being culturally relevant to the times. it dealt with homelessness, with animal cruelty, with the AIDS epidemic. Like it dealt with real world things. It was everything that Marvel said. It was the world outside our window. And I never connected with DC when I was a kid because it wasn't. It was too different, too far away. And this book feels like those old comics, where it is so relevant to what is happening today and what's going on today, and it's so aware. And I just, oh my god,
and accessible.
Tom is really incredible at this. So the first image that we have, so John kind of is trying to take over the role of Superman. He's becoming a hero, and he ends up helping to stop a forest fire. Well, it turns out that the fire is being caused by a post-human who has lost control of his powers. And he shows up. The military is trying to shoot him. The bullets are melting in the air. They fire a missile. He actually catches the missile midair, hits it with the laser beams, cuts it in half, and just says, nope. I should have grabbed that as an image because it was really good. But
that's so they're all good images.
Yes. And so something that you're going to see repeatedly throughout the series is how good John is at de-escalating. He stops the fight every time. He gets people to stop fighting and to listen. And
a crossover between John Kent and Kamala Khan would be amazing.
I would read the shit out of that. Yeah,
they're very much both like anti-punching, whilst being able to punch.
Yeah, he would make a very good champion. Yes,
right. Yeah,
100% agree.
Great way to describe it. Yeah, for sure.
But I included this image because one of the things that Tom is very aware about and touches a lot on in this series so far is corruption. And so the first thing that we see is so John manages to talk this guy down, get him to calm down. The flames stop. He hands him over to the military and explains this isn't his fault. And the whatever rank, I have no idea what they don't address it. But anyway, the CO heading whatever the mission this is. Says, I know, and he seems really sympathetic, and then as soon as John flies away, you see he smashes this dude in the side of the head with the butt of his rifle and knocks him out cold. And if you go to the next picture, John hears it and he goes back and says, what did you do? And if you can't read it, he says, I'm not risking my people by having him conscious. Now turn him over. And like that's it. That is what is happening. That's what's happening that no one wants to talk about. The corruption, the heartlessness. Like, this guy wasn't at fault, but they're still treating him like a criminal anyway.
And that's a common theme throughout the series, right? Is like John does illegal shit that is morally right. Oh, G, are you muted?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Were
you saying
no, but like legality is like not a sign of morality.
100%. Yeah. And they touch on that, like Ainsley said, with the investigative journalist stuff, with the immigration stuff, with the protesting stuff, with the police brutality, with like whether you trust authority like that, because this panel here directly flows into a conversation with John and Damien, where Damien is like, yeah, I understand being anti-authority. Why do you think I'm a fucking vigilante, right? Like they have that conversation between each other. I'm not sure if you have. Yeah, so you've got some of it here.
I've got some of it here, but what I have here is them having a little clever quip between each other, because I miss their witty banter.
It's so great. It's so satisfying. They're such a good pair.
Yeah.
To riff off each other, but this is the reason why for me. It's not even the banter. It's because you have the son of Superman who represents basically like law and order and follow the cops and, you know, Captain America bullshit. Then you've got the son that's like the mix of Damien's ideology and Clark's ideology, where he still wants to save the planet and he still wants to respect authority, but not in the face of like obvious corruption and like he's handed this dude off that he thinks he knows 100% this dude is not guilty, and he gives them to the military, and the military instantly physically assault him. And he has no idea whether that person's going to be safe or whether, like, they have that conversation here, right, where it's like, oh, Damien's like, oh, he might be like on the autopsy table as we speak.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that it reminds me a lot of, like, I guess that's what they're going for, is the Clark Bruce dialogue between, like, which is better, vigilantism or following the powers that be and
doing what is morally right or doing what is legally right.
Yup. So good. Sorry to take us off track. There's so much to talk about within this.
You're fine.
So this bit here, I know I do. I just don't want to overstep and make people nervous. Okay, so this conversation, I don't know how much you guys have to say on this, but this comes up a lot where this entire series is John trying to figure out his place on Earth, what is too much for him to do, what is too little, and he's experimenting and failing at that and figuring out his feet, because he has a good conversation with his dad further down. We'll talk about around why didn't you do more. I have so many questions about with both of you, how you felt about that. Should we talk about that now? Should we talk about it later?
Whatever. If you want to jump around, it's only a few images ahead. Because that was such a great moment. And so if people can't read what Damien was saying, he asks him, what do you want that symbol to stand for? And so here's another thing is, like, the backlash this series has gotten from angry dude bros about being politicized. Stop making everything so political. Because John has the audacity to say truth, justice, and a better world.
How dare he?
That's such an awful thing to want.
I know, sounds pretty SJW to me.
Listen, if you're not centering America, you're basically a commie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you hate America. Tom Taylor hates America because he said that he wants a better world.
He's a dirty Australian, so.
Yeah, it's fair. We all it's because we're not as free. So, like, we get real antsy about it's just not fair, you know. We're desperate for the eagle screeching, flag bearing freedom that America has.
We're jealous of all our potential to be billionaires.
So real quick, I do want to, before we go to that, just because it ties into it. So I grabbed these pictures because that is just, like, the worst disguise. It's a terrible outfit. Like, the wig is awful, and I just love it.
He's adorable.
So John has been a public figure his entire life so far, and everybody knows who he is, and he wants to have a little bit of normalcy. So he has Damien talk to Bruce, who pulls some strings and gets him a false identity so that he can go to college. And this is his cover costume. And then this is where it brings the school shooting in. So anyone who doesn't want to have to see this or hear about it, we're going to touch on it briefly. I don't want to talk about it too terribly much because of fucking course there was just one. So it's kind of a sensitive subject right now. But again, Tom Taylor just knocks it out of the ballpark with being relevant and telling relevant stories and touching on relevant issues. So he goes to college. It's his first day. It's the morning. He hasn't even gone to a single class, and a kid shows up with a rifle.
And you know what I found interesting about this too, Ainsley, is that we see panels of John driving his Jeep to college and talking about how much faster he could get there by himself and how it's all a bit ridiculous, but he's willing to put the show on to have some sense of normalcy and, like, get an education and, like, live both lives, right? And he knows, he says this later on, that the Justice League has put a lot of effort into creating this secret identity for him. He doesn't want to mess it up, all this work that people have done. So he's putting in a conscious effort to be this fake persona, right? And as that's happening, they're intersecting panels of this shooter loading up his rifle with bullets that have thoughts and prayers etched into the casing.
Woof.
Like, woof. Fucking
yeah.
So like, okay, what is he trying to say with that? Is my question.
Well, I mean, what's the? Oh, gee, go ahead.
No, go. I think that this is what that gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
because after every single one of these, it's, oh, our thoughts and prayers go to the families. Oh, our thoughts and prayers. And what do thoughts and prayers get us? More shootings.
Right.
Yep. I getcha. Because I found there was lots of different ways to interpret that. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the mosque shooting that was live streamed to Facebook from New Zealand. The guy had like written stuff on his rifle and written stuff on the bullets around like his internet community, right? Like his 4chan community or whatever. It had like memes and shit on there. It's just like, I feel like there's some kind of nod to that in this. Like he's trying to say, I think he is trying to say something about the online effect on this as well, which we're like, obviously we could talk about forever. There's a lot of stuff, like Ainsley said,
that makes sense.
That's going on in the forefront of the news at the moment. And the conversation really is like stilting at, this is a real societal systemic issue that needs to be addressed, that's perpetuated by the parents.
Well, the parents who get it from a larger culture.
Yeah, that's like, exactly
this
right.
Isn't something, this is something that's been in the making my entire life.
Yep. 100%.
Like, especially I am from the Midwest, there's a huge gun culture in the Midwest. And like, I watched this happen. I watched my country get like militarized and get radicalized by the gun industry entirely intentionally. Also, there's a really good book about it called Gunfight by Ryan, I'm going to say Buss, who is he's an ex-executive for Kimber, which used to be a great gun company. So if you want some insight on how it happened, he'll tell you exactly how they did it.
Please, if you want to throw that in the chat. Yeah, your recs are always fire.
Put that in the chat,
yeah, please do. I think the commentary on this too, this entire series, what I've really enjoyed is Tom saying like, or how it feels to me is he's saying like, this is how real heroes behave. And we've just established that this secret identity is super important to this man who's trying to find his footing in the world as a young adult and a superhero. And he's willing to give that all up in a second to save all these people's lives because that's the right thing to do. And they go on to have like a conversation, him and his dad, about his responsibility, I guess, which this was fascinating to me.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that before we talked about the conversation, because how relatable is it that this horrible thing happened and he just had to throw his entire future out the window, and so he just picks up his Jeep and fucking flies to the moon. Like, bye. I would love to just fly to the fucking moon and mope for a minute. Can I do that, please?
It's so fun. That is exactly
walk
how
to the park.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I was like, this is such Dr. Manhattan vibes. Like, I just want to fuck off to Mars, leave all this bullshit behind, you know.
Spoilers for Eternals. But like, I found it incredibly relatable when Icarus realizes he fucked up and flies into the sun.
Yeah.
Like,
can relate.
I've been that embarrassed for sure.
You ever cringe so hard you fly into the sun? Sorry, Ainsley, to derail you. I want to know
no. That's nope.
What do you think of this convo between Clark and John?
I think this rides a really nice line between relatable and fantastic.
Yeah.
Which Tom Taylor is really good at doing. He's super good at humanizing. Like, I've never liked Clark because he's too perfect. He's too fantastic. He's too morally upright. But like, I like that. Yeah, that he has a son calling him out.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny how the tone changes drastically in this conversation for me. Like, I don't know if you both felt the same way, but as I'm reading it, it starts with him saying like, why didn't you do more? Genuine curiosity.
Yes.
Then he follows that up with, sorry, I didn't mean. And then he says, like Clark says, no, it's okay. Bullets bounce off me. I should be able to handle some constructive criticism. I think part of me holds back because I wasn't born here. I can't help. I can help, but I can't lead. Except by example, part of me feels like it's not my place. And then John says, well, that's idiotic. And Clark says, your criticism is getting less constructive. And the way that he looks at him when he says that is like full dad, like, you better watch your fucking tone. You better watch your tone. But like, then
like this is taking place on the moon, but it feels like it could also be taking place around the Thanksgiving table.
Yes, that is absolutely what it feels like. It's like those conversations that go, the family conversations that go from like light family interaction to like super intense in a second. Yeah, it's exactly what it feels like.
Well, and it feels like an organic conversation that a father and a son would have with each other.
Right. Like, Tom Taylor, did you have this conversation with your dad?
Yeah, tell us what the inspiration is. Because this to me is bullshit. This is how I would feel as John. I'd be like, okay, so you didn't save it because you didn't feel like you belonged. Now you're saying because I was born here, it's my job.
Right.
But also, I wanna touch on this a little bit as a parent, and honestly, that's what a lot of this feels like. Is like at this stage in the game, like I feel like there's nothing that I can do that's going to make an impactful difference. Everything sucks, and it's now getting dumped on our kids, and now it is up to them to save the world. Like so. My 17-year-old has the weight of the world being dumped on his shoulders, just like John. And there is a level of helplessness in that. So I really related a lot to Clark for different reasons, but the same feeling. I really felt him here.
You know, it's funny. I've had similar conversations with people I am close to that are parents, because that is something I feel like as someone that's like chosen to not have children, I would really struggle with answering that. Like if you knew the direction the world was going, which is, increasingly worse climate change because our countries cannot seem to fucking commit no matter how many summits they have to an actual figure that they need to reduce it to, right?
I think you need to like realize that if we act like, but there's money and we need to worry about the money.
Good point. You're right. I hadn't thought about the money.
Yeah.
I can't wait to spend all that money.
We do want
on
to
a
fix
planet
the world so we can eat and have a place to live and not be dead, but not if it means we won't have money.
I get it. I get the priorities there. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So this
ice
thing,
caps, but also have you considered profit margins?
Right, yeah.
Handbags, makeup.
Have you considered my investments and our responsibility to the stockholders?
The shareholders.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought about the responsibility to the shareholders.
And I 100% get I wouldn't be able to comfortably come back with an answer and be like, I don't know why I brought you into this dying world, because like that, I get that feeling of hopelessness and like we can't do shit because we're all just powerless individuals.
Entropy.
Yeah. And also
old and ineffectual.
But this still it makes me infuriated that like it's being put on this young, and I guess like that's exactly what's happening, and that's the point that you're making.
Do you remember being a kid and having anxiety attacks over like realizing you were gonna die or your parents were gonna die or like all that shit? And like I've got a niece who's having panic attacks over like the planet might not be livable by the time I'm your age, and like I don't know how to talk about that.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and to an extent similar personal connection for me with Clark and John. Clark has given him this power set, which they allude to in the beginning exceeds Clark's, right? They're saying like he could be even more than
probably.
Clark. Yeah. And that is a huge burden that this is such a weird parallel, but like if my kid came to me and was like, why do I have all this mental illness that's like genetically inclined? And I'd be like, So part of me wonders how Clark feels with shifting that power set to somebody that he's created. Like, I wonder if he feels any remorse or regret.
I assume all parents feel that.
Yeah, I wonder about that. And you get what I'm saying, like that in particular. Whether he's
I feel like Superman is, his character is always so hopeful. That's his whole shtick. Is he is a man who lives and thrives on hope. He never gives up. So I don't think that with Clark. I think that he sees all of the best parts and all of the potential and all of the good that can be done. And that's it. I think that he just sees that sunshine. Instead of the shadows. Say that
in this conversation, right? Like John says to him, like, "Do you see what I see? This, like, these oceans desperate to breathe, and like trees." But yeah, see, he says that to Clark, and Clark's like, "I know you've had a bad day, but that's pretty fucking dire, man. Like, you need to lighten up."
Yeah. What else do you see? That is Superman to a T.
Yeah, good point. That's a really good point. I just wonder, I guess, that a lot about superhero families in particular. Did I miss stuff here? Yeah, I did. Because you are like giving this huge weight to your children by like whether they decide to use their powers or not, it will super affect their lives and make them disconnected from so much of humanity. Because you can't, like, how can you share what it's like with someone that's never had superpowers? Which, segue, is part of I think what makes the relationship that John has so interesting, the romantic relationship that he's got. I don't know if you want to talk about this bit before I move on to should we talk about that?
Yeah, because again, here we are, and what issue is this? This is issue 3, I think. Oh no, it's the end of issue 2. Once again, so there's this nation called Gamora, and it's run by, I don't know how he keeps showing up, Henry Bendix, who, if you remember the Midnighter miniseries that we reviewed a little ways back, Midnighter killed the shit out of this man. Like, he murdered his fucking face so bad. But he's back somehow, some why, and he is now running the island nation of Gamora, which is supposed to be a utopia, but that's all propaganda. It's actually terrible, and everyone hates him. And this boat of refugees flees the country to escape, and they encounter rough seas, and John saves them. He grabs the boat, brings it to Metropolis, sets it down, and they are met by the police, who immediately begin arresting them. And so John hits the handcuffs with his laser eyes and breaks it off, and the cop says, "Son, there are cameras watching. I appreciate what you've done here today, and these people will be looked after, but you need to understand there's a process." And John tells him, "These people need help, not handcuffs. I'm just going to remove them." Until the captain agrees, no restraints. But again, like, there's a process. Well, the process is wrong. The process is wrong. It is fundamentally broken at its core. And these people who almost died trying to seek asylum get to a place where they are hoping to be safe, and instead they are treated again like criminals. And it's just,
by the way, prevalent issue in Australia. We have this entire refugee island that's housing one family that legally immigrated across, and it is a huge deal that our liberal right-wing government will not let go. They will not. Wow. So the community is advocating and saying, like, we want them back. They're a good part of our community. And because of whatever paperwork they've decided doesn't match whatever they want, they've removed this entire family, and they're spending millions keeping them on this island for committing zero crimes. And think about all that money, how many people they could feed and house. Right. It's just frustrating.
For me, that's where, at least in America, I have years ago stopped expecting any conservative talking points to not be wildly hypocritical. But like, yeah, you're supposed to be like, oh, I'm fiscally conservative. But like, no, you're fucking not.
You're spending fucking $80 billion on submarines, man. You're not fiscally conservative. And by the time that they're built, they'll be out of date.
I want to give my billionaire friends government contracts.
Exactly. Like, I don't know if anyone watched the climate summit that recently happened, like, internationally. My prime minister shows up without a mask. Everyone's like, who is this fucking idiot? The Australian podium had mining companies, like, logos plastered all over it, like corporate sponsorships on full display for our country. It's just an embarrassment. It's such a fucking embarrassment. And it's nice to, like, see so much of these prevalent issues being addressed in one. Like, this is only 5 issues so far. Every single issue has a real hot button topic. We've touched on so far school shooting, immigration, like human experimentation, islands not, or let's say nations not being what they claim to be, police brutality, fucking government corruption. It's just like there's so much in these first 2 issues, and there's more to come that are all in the news right now.
Yeah.
Yep. And just reading this series so far, and thinking about all of the fucking assholes who are so mad that all these politics in these comics, when what they really mean is the bad shit that the people I'm affiliated with, all of the bad stuff that they're doing is being pointed out that it's bad, and that makes me uncomfortable. Like, that's it.
Right.
100%.
Like, wow, treating refugees like shit is being labeled as bad? I don't like that, because I treat refugees like shit.
Right.
Now I have to look at myself. That sounds hard.
Yeah, and that's why they're mad.
That is 100% accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right,
So I threw in that X panel just because it was really cool to see this little girl just fling Superman like he was nothing. She just ragdolled him. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it took you by surprise, hey, because you're just expecting what normally happens, which is, he picks her up and flies her somewhere, but she just goes fucking wham.
Yeah, so we only see this girl twice. We don't even know her real name, but I want to see more of her because she has something that I love. She has gravity powers, which I freaking love gravity powers, and more people should have gravity powers. It takes both Clark and John to pick her up because she becomes so super dense because she has no control over it. And, like, I want more of this girl.
They talk about her being like the power of a star or something, right? Is it something along those lines?
Yeah, it's like she has the super density mass of a singularity or something like that. But yeah,
it's so dope. It's so
super
fun.
dope. Yeah.
So they put her in a anti-gravity chamber, right? So
they take her to Wally to help over at Star Labs. Yeah.
Nice.
Or Star City Labs.
And then is this the next one?
Yeah, and then there's more police brutality. There's
Let me just, fill in some gaps here. So this young man with the pink hair is an investigative journalist himself, but he's college age, and he's running a podcast called The Truth, I think it is. Something like that. And so he goes to college with John, sees John reveal his secret identity, which was
it gets saved from the shooter by John.
100%. Yeah. So sorry, you're right. He gets saved by John from the shooter, and then approaches John after the fact and says, like, hey, now you can know my secret identity. I run this Truth podcast. Let's, like, talk to each other more, because you don't know the ants nest that you have just uncovered by saving these immigrants and publicly saving these immigrants, because now you've drawn a lot of attention to why they had to leave in such dire conditions. Like, when the public narrative is that where they're escaping from is a paradise.
It's paradise, utopia.
Yeah, exactly. So these protesters come into play because they see the immigrants are going to be sent back from the government, US government, to Gomorrah, right? And
because Bendix demands their return
and says, I don't know why they left. It's a paradise for sure. Like, please don't invest. And everyone's like, I don't know. I feel like people wouldn't risk death if it was. And so this protest happens, and then I'll let Ainsley. Sorry, that was my fill-in, but I'll let Ainsley take it from there.
Hang on, like my whole internet is hiccuping right now. So
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Do you want me to keep talking? I'll keep talking. All right. So
give me a hot
essentially,
second. Sorry.
No, it's okay. John joins the protest because he sees police brutality. Who would have thought at a protest? Crazy shit.
I don't know. Yeah, that sounds a little too fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the most unrealistic part. Like, I'm looking at this flying man on the moon, and I'm like, that makes sense. But this part, never seen it. So, Ainsley, tell me your thoughts and feelings about this whole scene. What did you? Oh, sorry, G. What did you think of this whole section?
I mean, again, like, I'm kind of gonna just keep saying the same stuff because Tom Taylor keeps giving me those same vibes of, yeah, like, I appreciate that he makes things that are, I think, and I said it in the chat, that, like, I like his books because they make me think. And yeah, like, it bums me out that there's, like, the exact segment of the population that I think need to be reading this are the people that don't want to. Because, like,
very true.
It's making these issues that are constantly being thrust in our faces on social media and just regular media, that, like, you have to have a position on this. You're not allowed to not feel strongly. But, like, hey, here's a way that you could sit down and like, I don't think I want him to do a comic that explains Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because that's an issue, I think, is one of, like, the biggest issues that people don't feel they're allowed to have an opinion on because they don't understand it. And same with, like, Black Lives Matter, police brutality. We're supposed to have an opinion, but I don't think we understand it. And it's weird to be like, you should maybe check out Superman. But that's kind of the point of comic books. That's always been the point of comic books. X-Men was a way to help understand the civil rights movement.
Yeah, and again, going back to Nomad, they freaking covered the LA riots after the Rodney King incident.
I think media's, like, TV, comics, books, the greatest thing that they can do is, like, make someone think. And this does that. And it
very well
teaches you. Yeah. Top Taylor, 100%. Man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really enjoyed this run a lot, and it managed.
I think it's also giving us a hero we need right now.
100%. And I've never, I'll be honest, before this, I don't think I've ever read and enjoyed, apart from Red Sun, a Superman comic. So, like, this was a new experience for me to, like, actually sit down and not be able to stop turning pages.
Right.
Because I find Clark irritating for the same reasons that you mentioned. Yeah.
It doesn't.
He is an astonishingly difficult character to write. And it's very hard to make him not boring. But anyone who thinks that Superman is just by default a boring character is wrong. Wrong. So wrong. And all they have to do to know how wrong they are is to read Superman being written by Tom Taylor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you're ever not enjoying comics, try something by Tom Taylor.
Yeah. And Lee from Whack Comics has met him at a few like conventions and has said, like, he is a genuinely nice human being in person.
I absolutely believe that. Yes.
He is, like, I'm not on Facebook a ton anymore, but every time I log onto Facebook, essentially all I follow is comic book stuff. And anytime someone is talking about him in a post in a comic book group, no matter how many people are in it, or in, like, a DC post of his, he is in the comments like, thank you so much, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So like, dope. So he's interacting.
He's so interactive with his fan base on all social media platforms. I don't know how he has time to write comics.
Well, I tagged him when I posted that we were doing this show on Twitter, so we'll see if he sees that.
What's up, Tom? How you doing? How's Melbourne weather today? This part I really liked too, because he's just fucking, like, he talks directly to the camera and he's like, I need everyone to think about this critically. Why would these people go through this sinking ship escape if they weren't desperate? And maybe we need to look at what the fuck is actually happening there. And he's starting to get a sense of, because he's encountered now 2 superhumans that were not guilty of their actions, clearly being used by someone who we assume to be this motherfucker that's watching the screen right now, right? Because we get a little peek behind the curtain as the audience. He's trying to tell the citizens to use their brains, think about it. This is why he's getting arrested publicly. He wants to make a song and dance, and he knows that will be a headline. And then we get this cute interaction in the jail when Dad has to come bail him out.
Superman has to come bail his son out of prison, yeah.
Yeah. And I love how he's like,
embarrassing.
right? But then he's like, it happens to your mum all the time. I love that line.
Well, yes, like, well, I love how much they touch on Lois on this, and they do it even more in the next issue. But also just, again, having a teenage son, an older teenage son, I read some of this dialogue, and I, like, that is absolutely something that my kid would say. So Clark comes and he bails John out, and as they're leaving, John looks at me and says, "I did hard time, Dad." And Clark says, "You were in there for 45 minutes. 45 minutes of hard time."
You can hear it,
and
right?
I'm
You can
busting
hear
out
it being
laughing.
Yeah.
Yes, that got me immediately. Just straight tickle to the ribs. It was so funny. Because he's got such a great voice for these kids.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely some shit that
sass.
my kid would say.
100%. Like, it's that combination of like curious. I was almost going to say rage, but let's say passion. Curious passion combined with like sass is like how he writes these kids, and that is like right on the money for, I'd imagine, how most what are we up to now? Z?
Gen Z.
Thank you.
We're still on Z, I think. I don't know where we're going to go after that.
Yeah, because that's the end of the alphabet. What happens then?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that caps like how I see them communicate with each other on social media, at least, because I don't know many children. But
so the on the subject of Lois and them actually acknowledging her, if you want to go to the next picture like you just did, yes. So you mentioned earlier, Jay runs a podcast where they it's called Truth, and that's what they're broadcasting, is the unfettered, uncensored truth about what's going on that isn't getting reported in other avenues. And so this is Jay, who got invited by Clark to go to dinner with them at the parents' house in Smallville. And so he gets to meet Lois, who introduces herself. And you can see the middle panel is just, there's nothing. It's just silence because it's just Jay staring.
Freaking out. Yeah. Which is
And
fair.
he has this total fanboy moment over Lois, and it's great. It made me so happy.
Cute. It made me happy too because he meets Clark immediately before this for the first time. Zero reaction. He's like, "Yep, your dad's Superman. That's fine." Gets flown by Clark to the house, meets Lois, and is like, "Oh shit, you didn't tell me Lois was going to be here." It's the cutest thing.
I mean, I feel that.
Me too. I feel like I'd be to be fair, like, I'm pretty contrarian, so take this opinion as you will, but I think that Lois is more of a superhero than Clark because she wasn't born with power. She just used what she had and made it happen, and like is so unbelievably brave. Just like
100% agree.
Yeah, anyone that can do that job is so incredibly brave. And it also gives her this unique understanding of like risking your life for a cause, which I don't think many people can relate to Clark about. So it just makes her so, and like Jay, this kid gets it because he's already in the thick of it, doing what he does. And it's just fascinating to see like real world, actual IRL heroes mixed with these fictional heroes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I've missed.
No, you were fine. But the next panel, and this is something else that I loved. So if you haven't been keeping up there, so John. So DC has a problem with naming their characters, and I've ranted about this before. I'm not going to rant about it now. So bear with me if I say the wrong one. So John got foisted into the future for a few years as a child, came back as a grown-up. I thought it was a terrible idea because I really loved him and Damien together, and now they can't be together anymore because the age gap was too big, but it's getting narrower. And anyway, so he gets to the future, and reading historical documents, there is a point where Superman's story ends. He disappears from the history books and never shows up again. So John knows that something happens to his dad, and he never comes back from it. And so this scene is the two of them sitting on the roof because Clark tells him that that time has come and he has to go. And John knows that he's never going to see him again. And so they're sitting on the roof, and if you can't read the dialogue, it's Clark, and he says, I need you to promise me something. John says, what? And he says, promise you won't come looking for me. And then the immediate reaction after that is John goes, and says, I am absolutely not promising that. If the roles were reversed, would you come find me? And Clark says, if you were missing, I'd search to the end of the universe. And I love this because I am so sick of the whole, don't come looking for me. It's too dangerous. You can't do it. I have to protect. No, none of that. No more of that. If you go missing, I'm hunting your bitch ass down. Yes, that I want to see more of that.
I'm actually going to add on that and say, like, I think the "don't come for me" is bad writing, because it so often happens in comics where it's like the misunderstanding is because like the communication didn't happen, or they're like, don't do this thing that you're totally gonna fucking want to do naturally as my son. Like that. It just, we've seen it so much, it's tired. So this was nice and refreshing to see, in my opinion.
And again, very aware.
Yeah, very aware. Where he's like,
I'm absolutely not going to do that. If you go missing, I'm immediately launching a search for you, dumbass.
100%. Of course he would. Of course he would.
Okay.
So extreme shit happens immediately after that conversation. Clark fucks off, and the house is blown up by, I can't even remember the dude's name.
No, it's the density girl from earlier.
Oh yeah, sorry. So like technically, density girl from earlier.
She gets dropped on their house, and her powers are forcibly activated, and it acts like an explosion, and it destroys the Kent farm. So I wanna talk about how absurdly important this is. Jay has intangibility. John hears her falling, and as soon as the house starts exploding, everything goes in super slow motion for him. And it really is an incredible scene where it's him thinking a fraction of a second by a fraction of a second, realizing everything he has to do to get everyone out of there because he's the only one who can save them. And he reaches for Jay, and his hands go through him like smoke. And he realizes that he just grabs his grandparents because Jay can't be hurt. So we've talked about Bury Your Gays, and we've talked about how popular it is to introduce a gay character just so that you can torment them and kill them, because people love to consume the suffering of marginalized people. It's just how it is. They love Black suffering. They love queer suffering. And it's really easy to do. So the fact that Tom Taylor has introduced a queer character that cannot be hurt is astronomical. Like, I don't even have the vocabulary to explain how important this is.
Feels very much like Luke Cage, the black man who can't be shot.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, and like it is integral, not even in just a queer sense, Ainsley, right? It's integral to John's character because his entire duality is like, yes, he has all these superpowers that he can use for good, but he can also, as we'll see later on, accidentally break someone's arm if he runs too fast by them. Or, you know, like his powers are easily manipulated to harm the people that he loves. So this character as a romance option makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it's like,
he will never end up as a damsel in distress. Like,
yeah,
he literally can't be harmed. He can't be captured. He can just phase through the walls. Which actually, so the first time they meet like when he meets John as the truth podcaster with his funky mask on, I noticed John turns and says, "How did you sneak up on me?" And he says, "Oh, well, you were preoccupied." He's like, "You were preoccupied." And then you come to realize, no, this motherfucker went straight through the ceiling.
Of course he did. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that until you pointed that out. That's crazy. You're right. This entire scene is fascinating seeing it from, and we see a little bit of that when he has the interaction with Flash, where he's like, it's nice to be talking to someone that thinks in the same speed. And you can see like every decision he's making as it happens, like you said, fraction of a second by fraction of a second. So what happens here is the Justice League immediately swoops in because they're like, enemy, house exploded. Obviously, that's what the Justice League does.
Yeah, because the Kent farm is under their protection. But also, I included this panel because once again, this awesome gravity chick just fucking ragdolls Wonder Woman.
She's Wonder Woman.
And sends her flying.
Look at that shit.
And so I'm just like,
yeah, it's fun to see. Yeah. I like that stuff. Especially when you don't expect it. Like twice in a comic, I went, "Oh my god!" She actually hit him. Yeah. So that was nice to see. So John comes up and says, like, "Hey, the not enemy. We got to figure this out. Like, there's more to this." Basically, gives her to Wonder Woman for protection while he figures it out. Anything you wanted to touch on in this panel?
Oh no, just that again, anytime they really call attention to how freaking awesome the ladies in the comics are. So Wonder Woman says, "You'll be looked after by me," and he says, "There you go, Wonder Woman for protection. You can't get any safer than that."
Literally cannot. That's the peak protection right there. All right. I agree with you, for what it's worth.
Oh, no, it's just more witty banter. So Ma and Pa Kent just take the absolute obliteration of their farm like fucking champs. They seriously just shrug it off and they're like, we've got everything important in storage somewhere else. We're going to go stay with a neighbor. It's fine. Jay, come over anytime. After we have a house again. Unflappable.
It is so cute. Yeah, I agree. They're fully prepared. They're fully supportive. They've obviously thought things through, which is like so, again, refreshing when you're reading comic books with family members of superheroes. Like, why don't people have more bunkers and more like prepping backpacks and more like hiding their photographs somewhere safe? Like, why don't more families do that shit? Anyway. This is cute.
We meet a couple of other characters, and I don't know anything about these two, but they are adorable, and I want to know more about them. Just because
look at this shot, it's so fucking cute. Like both of them carrying their, and this guy's like, and I have to say, it's nice to see someone else being carried through the air for a change. It makes this whole thing less awkward. And I was like, yeah, that would be fucking awkward. I don't know if you guys saw, so like, what's his name? Tom Holland and Zendaya were on Graham Norton. Zendaya is taller than Tom Holland. So they have this stunt where they were swinging off a bridge in the latest movie that we haven't seen yet. They're swinging off a bridge, and he basically like swings her back up to the top and sets her down gently. But the way that, because her legs are longer than his, she would always land before he landed. And so the way they had to shoot it is like they would land and she would catch him in her arms so that their eye level would meet. And so she was literally the one doing what's in this where she's catching fucking Spider-Man after the stunt. But the way that they've shot it is like on their face, so it looks like he's doing that to her. And I just thought that story was so cute. It reminded me when I was reading this. I love the whole like there is something really romantic about being carried by the hero, right? Like that's a fantasy for everyone, right?
It's a classic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not for G. You wouldn't take a ride around on like Thor's cape?
Oddly, the control freak doesn't like being carried now.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I get that. Yeah, that's a really cute panel. All right.
And this mostly just for John's face. So the two people that we just saw are also part of Truth, and so they compiled all of this information against President Bendix, including firsthand experiences, their own experiences being his test subjects, which is how they ended up as post-humans. Jay as well, by the way. Jay is originally from Gamora and was experimented on as a child, which is why he can now phase. But they hand him the data pad, and he just looks at it and then looks up and says, "I'm done."
Finished.
And he was like, "What, you've read all of it? That was a lot of work. Could you read it like a second time?"
I just need to quickly go back to answer this question. So I fucking love this outfit, to answer BM. I love this costume. Do you both love this as much as I do?
Yes, it's a badass costume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sweet. I'm glad we're all in agreement there, because love it. What do you think, BM? Tell us in the comments. Yeah, this face here is so like, I love the manga styling of the expressions in this book.
Like, I've been sucking Tom Taylor's dick a lot, but like the artist did some good work. Although, isn't this the douchebag artist that got kicked off eventually?
Is it? No, that was just the colorist.
Oh, colorist. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
nice.
That wasn't the line artist.
Yeah.
So we're okay.
I do really enjoy, like Ainsley just hit the nail on the head, I do really enjoy the playful way they mess around with John's powers in this. Like, they talk about them in almost every page, like, oh, I could be doing this, or I could be doing that, or I'm doing this because I have this power set. It's just fun how they like constantly touch on it and work it into the story and make it comedic. Especially the Jeep. Like, he carries his own fucking Jeep up to them. It's just so cute. They do such a good job. All right.
Yeah, so this was a really important panel to me for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure that anyone listening is going to be able to figure it out. But John goes to Lois with the information that he's given so that she can look through it and help their cause. And she tells him here, John, this isn't, because they know that President Bendix is behind everything. And so she says, John, this isn't a costumed villain. He's a president. This isn't someone you can confront. And John says, I bet that's exactly what he believes. And if he believes he'll never be held accountable for anything, he'll just go on hurting people. Do you honestly think I can stand by and let that happen? I don't like it. He could not be any more relevant with this right now if he freaking tried.
This is such a power fantasy, the same way like paying off your mortgage in Animal Crossing is.
That's exactly what it feels like. Like, fuck the elite, down with like corporate governments. Like that's
right.
exactly what it feels like in this. Also, like, this really fucking hit for like some personal shit that I've got going on with like online harassment, because this is exactly how I felt. It's like, these people believe that they have complete, what's the word I'm looking for? They're shielded from any consequence.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for the most part, they're right, which is so frustrating. Yeah. And that's what this entire comic is capturing, is that like feeling of frustration of like, fuck these cunts. I'm gonna do something about it. Yeah. And that, like, it's so nice to see that like anarchistic, like, because it does really happen when you're that age. You really feel like you can make a difference. And like, I get why that goes away for most people. I'm still kind of there. I still feel like we can make a lot of change, but it fluctuates. And so like seeing this is really inspiring. And it's exactly, who said it before, like, this is a hero that we need right now. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Oh, back to this. All right, let me scroll on down. Whoop. This is cute. So should I talk about what leads up to this point? John gets trapped trying to save Flame Dude from issue 1, because Flame Dude seems to be heating up again, and they've put him somewhere safe, and he goes to save Flame Dude again, but it ends up being a trap that amplifies his power set to over 5,000 or whatever the fuck, right? And
over 9,000, yeah.
Over 9,000, thank you. So he can fucked up the quote. So he can hear everything. He can't shut it off. He knows if he opens his eyes, he will see unfathomable shit. So he's just like trying so hard to contain it. Then because he's hearing everyone crying out, he goes on this massive, like almost a Superman bender where he flies.
It really is.
Yeah,
it's a total bender. Where he's just zipping literally all over the world, saving all of these people that he can hear, just like, gotta go. And
yep. Cut stop, everyone needs me. And I'm like, fuck, imagine, like, that must be what God feels like. Like, shit, there's so many of them. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like. It's so nice how they try and encapsulate that here. And there's a really sweet moment where, so he ends up finding Jay's like, I tried to reach you, but your cell phone was melted or whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, my phone melted. It's happened. It's not the first time it's happened.
and then he takes care of John, and like, it's so nice because he's like, I don't need you, so like, I'll take care of you. Everyone else needs you, and that's where like it really like he's always been there for John since issue 1. He keeps showing up and saying like, here's my secret identity. I'm going to try and bail you out of jail, but it looks like your dad's already doing that. Hey, I'll go to dinner with your family. Like, he's constantly there. We know that he does have ulterior motives because when he was speaking to the other experiments that he knows, he said he has a plan with him around, like, the truth. And he's obviously, like, given him documents and stuff that he knows. So there's underlying wants for Jay, but at the same time...
but it's not, like, nefarious.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think at all. But yeah, so John is totally exhausted. He's strung out. He's stressed. And he tells Jay, I got to keep going. And Jay tells him, no, you don't. You're tired. And John says, I'm not supposed to get tired. He says, oh, really? How do you know? Are there just an abundance of half Kryptonians walking around?
Right.
And calls him out and says, no, fucking sleep. And that's so nice because you don't see this with the superheroes very often, where they have someone on the outside saying, you need to stop, breathe, have a snack, some self-care maybe, possibly. And so having that here was really refreshing.
In the Marvel Universe, I agree. In the Marvel Universe, we see it a lot with MJ and Peter, right? Like, the constant battle between them is like, MJ's like, you're pushing yourself too far, and Peter's like, but I got it because there's no one else, and it's just so boring after a while. So seeing that
how did that go, Ree?
Something along the lines of blah 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 blah. But you get it, right? It's a conversation they have over and over. In this instance, it felt like immediately Jay was like, the reason why you need to take care of yourself is you will fuck up your reputation and then not be able to help anyone. He gets straight to the point. He's like, you will hurt people if you don't take care of yourself first.
Yeah,
and
you can't be Superman if you accidentally incinerate a kindergartner.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how much better could you that exactly? How like hit it on the head, get straight to the point. He needs that 9-hour sleep that he's about to have. How cute is this?
Yeah.
How cute is this?
and then they have that conversation, like I said earlier, where Jay tells him, you don't have, like, I don't need you. I can't be hurt. Out of the 7.5 billion people on this planet, I'm the only person that you never need to worry about. And I cannot even imagine what a relief that would be to hear. Just, I don't need you. I'm okay. You don't have to worry about me. Like, oh, thank God.
And it's just after he's been properly taken care of, right? Like, he's had a sleep. He's had like the noise cut out for a bit. He's starting to recover from the amplification effects. He says it's getting quieter. And so like, this is, I think, the first time that someone that's not his parents, at least this is the way it reads to me, like it's the first time someone has taken care of him romantically, in my opinion, is the way that it comes across to me, right? Because then they share this, like, I don't know if you put it there. Yeah, they have this, like,
did, of course I did.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. How could I not put the kiss in there? So
I only
many
just
people
noticed
were
you said
so
that
mad
one.
about this. It sustained me.
Die mad.
Die mad. Like, this is okay. Can we just like get all the obvious shit out of the way? This is so tame. What are you worried about? Did this turn you gay? Did this turn you gay? Looking at this?
Yes.
Because if that happened, you were already gay. I hate to break it to you, you're already fucking gay. It wasn't the picture.
I don't understand how people got upset about Fastos being married and having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
When like there is a completely unnecessary straight sex scene.
Yep. Gratuitous.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Like the
Yeah.
family actually builds
Yeah.
the character. The sex was boring and unnecessary.
Yeah,
like most sex, frankly.
naked and thrusting on the beach. You know,
Yeah.
for the kids.
For the
Yeah.
kids.
For the kids.
That's exactly right. Like we've seen here before us is this example of a loving, caring relationship between two people that are getting to know each other. All of the intentions, as so far as we know, are pure. They're just wanting to make each other feel better and take care of each other in this moment. How fucking dare they do that, right? What a terrible example for our children that is. Like,
yes.
God
damn it.
So this is great. I love
See, this is what truth, justice, and a better world gets us. It's fucking homosexuals.
The queers.
The queers.
The queers. And like, what happened to the rest? Like, where's their commentary on the rest of the story? And I guess that is exactly what Ainsley was saying earlier. Is
read
like,
it.
Yeah, they didn't
they
read
did
it.
not read it. First of all,
they just are aware of the parts that they don't like because there are parts that are calling them the fuck out. And just like we touched on, holding them accountable for their bullshit.
That's right.
I love it.
They have read it. They disagree with all the messaging throughout, because here's the other thing that I wanted to point out, and I downloaded an image and I didn't put it up. Superman wears a fucking mask at one point when he's like taking someone to hospital. He doesn't need to wear a mask.
Oh, yeah.
He just
Face
knows
mask.
it's the right thing to do. He just knows it's the right thing to do. And who would have thought Superman actually knows what the right thing to do is? Maybe we should look at what he's choosing in amongst these issues. Like, who is he siding with? What actions is he taking and why?
Stop. No self-reflection.
Yeah. It's clear that this is the scapegoat for we don't want to talk about all the rest.
I pulled it up in my actual comic.
Please.
Hold on. Right there.
Nice.
He puts on a fucking face mask when he goes to a hospital. Which, by the way, I also have to show off that I got the cardstock variant. I was so happy to get this cover. Isn't it gorgeous?
Nice.
It's beautiful.
I was so happy that my LCS had a 1 per customer for that one.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Look at this. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss. That's cute. I had to explain the kiss to my former manager and told her it was blown out of proportion, and of course that it was John, not Clark. And then she got angry that people were angry about it. Good. Because that's the biggest thing, right? That we saw from the outrage is people were like, Clark can't be gay. And it's like, have you...
Okay. I don't like gatekeeping. I am coming out as anti-gatekeeping. However, I've seen some people being like, well, they should be really explicit that it's John. I don't know how much more explicit you can get than Superman : son of Kal-El. But like, what you're telling me is like, okay, first of all, is one, you are not keeping current with Superman comics, which if you're a Superman fan, you should probably be reading Superman comics. But maybe you're just a fan of the movie. But the thing is, if you just walk into a comic shop and pick up one copy, you don't even have to read it. It says Son of Kal-El on the freaking cover. So like, I as much as I don't want to gatekeep, I'm going to say if you are like that unaware, you are not a Superman fan.
Literally the blurb on every issue that I've seen on Google Books, on everything. It's like, Jonathan Kent prepares for Clark Kent's fucking departure from Earth. And like, it's immediately.
And this was like a big thing, like long time coming. There were like, if you didn't even read Superman comics, there were ads for it in other DC comics.
Yeah, no,
like,
they started this. They started the stuff leading up to this in like Action Comics 1020 something. Like,
Right?
we're up to like 1040. Like, it's almost 20 issues ago.
I
There's
want to touch
no
on this.
excuse.
That's right. That's exactly right. Sorry to derail us again. I just want to touch on this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
that Ainsley is talking about with Jay, because like the question I think was, do you think Jay's a bad guy or just drawn that way? I do actually believe that Tom is playing with tropes around, like Ainsley just discussed. The queer characters are always either the tragic or the villains, and there's no in between. You can't be happy, because why would we read that, right? Um,
Right.
so I think what he's doing is purposely playing with that trope of like, yes, he's got ulterior motives, but no, they're not necessarily nefarious. We're just kind of projecting that in our minds because we're used to seeing that narrative with queer couples all the time.
Mhm.
I believe that he is going to be a good guy through and through. He might have a secret that like another secret that is going to be revealed that will cause some tension, but I don't
think he's gonna have something he has to reveal to John.
yeah, and I
For
don't think that
sure.
necessarily makes him a bad guy. I think that just makes him a cautious guy.
I'm sorry, what relationship have you been in where you didn't eventually have to like reveal something to your partner? Like, I have bladder control issues.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't do that on the first date. You don't.
Yeah.
He was hiding the fact that he was a post-human.
Yeah.
But like, what was the line? Like, I guess we have to
Right.
address the elephant in what used to be a room.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Such a good line. It was really laugh out loud funny, this comic. Like, I know we've talked about
Yeah, it
comedy a
had
few
so many
times.
great moments.
Yeah. Hey, Dakota, how you doing?
Just those little touches.
Gay people have secrets. Yeah, it's why their hair's so big. It's full of secrets. Sorry, Mean Girls quote. I just realized, is the background full of drawn butts? No. Who would do that? Who would do that? What a terrible person. True, you guys speak in facts. Thank you so much. Hey, buddy, it's because we love butts. It's true. Wait, I've got a banner for this somewhere. Here it is.
Yes, there we go.
Perfect. Thank you for that segue. Anything that either of you would like to say about this run as like a summation, final thoughts? G, do you want to tell us like your summation of, did you enjoy it? Was it good?
I
Would
have
you
yet to
recommend it?
find a Tom Taylor book that I don't enjoy. Like, just pick up his stuff. Just read Tom Taylor. Just do it. You won't be disappointed. You'll learn something. It'll make you a better person.
I'm with that.
Also,
I don't know who
stuff.
Try butt stuff. You heard it here first. G is the wisest, I think, of the three of us. I'm just going to throw it out there now.
I am pretty wisdomous.
Ainsley is definitely the hottest one, and there's nothing we can do about it. We've been trying for years.
Whatever.
Ainsley, tell us, what's your thoughts on, what would you like to say that you haven't already said about the book?
I love this book. I did mention earlier, like, when you said, I've never read a Superman, I thought, oh man, that was really good. But I read this, and every single moment of it has been, wow, this is really good. I can't wait to see where it's going. I can't wait to see more of Jay. I can't wait to see more of that density gravity chick. Like, I really hope that he does more with her, because she looks cool. She's got one of my favorite superpowers. So I'm just like, I can't wait for more. I want to.
I hope the series goes for so long.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, that butts are a chair.
Yeah, no, 80 issues. I want like 6 annuals. I want holiday specials twice a year. Let's do it.
Have we had anything? What I
want to be picking up. I want to be picking up some Kal-El. Like, what are we on? 1036 for Action Comics now. Yeah, I want to be 90.
We got confirmed continuation, right? Was my question. Like, I should have checked this before we hopped on the live, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I just the BM just talked really quick about 7 Secrets. Like, I want to read 7 Secrets so bad.
We should do a show on it, so we all have to read it.
Let's do that.
I don't have it. This is actually a book that I don't have and haven't read yet.
Oh shit! Plot twist.
So you could buy it and then read it right away?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be looking for the Seven Secrets trade while I'm at C2E2 over the weekend. So
yes, enjoy yourself. By the way, that's
I
going to
am
be so
so
fun.
jealous.
Should so obviously everyone knows this is my final wrap up on this book. I loved it. I don't normally read Superman, so if that like tells you all you need to know, you should just fucking read it. Just go read it and tell me what you think.
This is
If you don't
absolutely a great jumping on point for like if you have a child, you could read this together.
100%. If you have a young adult, I would definitely recommend it to them as well. I think it talks to a lot of what they're thinking a lot about. Sorry, Ins.
Or just
also,
a precocious younger child.
If you would like to know more about the villain of this series, Henry Bendix, please, I am begging you, go find the original run of Warren Ellis's The Authority, which was released by Wildstorm back in the 90s. That is where Henry Bendix is from. Well, actually, he's from Stormwatch, but The Authority was better, so read that instead. Actually, fuck it. Read them both. Read them both. Seriously, go. Read Stormwatch. It was awesome. Read The Authority. It was awesome. And then you can hate Henry Bendix as much as I do.
I love that so much. Can you tell us a little bit about like C2E2 before I wrap us up? What are your plans?
It is the Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo. It's a MegaCon in Chicago, obviously. It's a really great convention. I am super excited because they are taking their safety precautions very seriously. They are requiring proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test that's 24 hours old or less. They are requiring masks for everyone. Like, it is serious business. It's limited capacity. I do not believe Tom Taylor is going to be there, but I am
I hope they're
excited.
paying their like door staff because like.
Oh yeah, no, and they're gonna have people walking around. Like I read through, they're going to have security walking around and make sure that people are wearing their masks. If you take your mask off, you're gonna get in trouble for it. So it's fucking great. Nice. And the number one thing I'm looking forward to is Tim Seeley, who has also written some phenomenal DC titles, including Grayson, which if you have not read Grayson, please read Grayson. It was incredible. So Tim Seeley is going to be there, and I am going to get my Shatterstar #1 autographed by him.
Nice.
Hell yeah. We've actually had Tim on IFLC before. If anyone wants to go check out that interview as well, it's there. Just type in IFLC.
Fantastic.
Give him my greetings from Eau Claire because that is, I believe he went to school here.
I will do that.
So
that's cool.
Hi from Eau Claire to Tim Seeley.
You got it.
That's so dope. That's so rad. G, do you have anything you want to promote before I sign us off?
Read a book.
Fuck yeah. Read a book. Is Grayson where they name his butt cheeks?
So the hold on. I know their names. I just can't remember I think the left one is Juan and the right one is Jim. Jim and Juan are the canonical names of Dick Grayson's butt cheeks.
I love that. I love that so much. Did you guys get Robins? And if you did you get the Variant B workout covers?
I didn't get Robins.
I did get Robins. I did not manage to snag the Variant cover. I'm going to be looking for that at C2E2 as well. Yeah. I'm going to try and get one. I had a friend that bought one that showed me on a stream, and I was like, I need to get that immediately. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I am a thirsty girl that needs all the thirst trap covers.
I love and hate watching Not Near Mint streams because like I need to have Rob's budget for comics.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm certain that Rob hoards out at this point. I'm certain that he's got OnlyFans because like how else? Right? That's the only answer I can think of.
Is he like a sugar boy? I don't know.
Sugar baby.
Some wealthy woman.
Yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. Why didn't I think of that before? By the way, unrelated, if there are any sugar daddies out there that want to support any of our comic habits, you can contact us at Big AD Comics on YouTube.
Dude, that was my plan, and then I literally married someone named Poor. So.
Well, shit. What, did you fall in love with something like a bitch?
Wah, 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 wah.
Gross. What, did you
Yeah,
go
and
for that
Alex
connection?
stupid. Feeling like
Emotional
emotionally
connection?
supported and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, gross. Why would you do that with
Gay.
money? Gay. It's pretty gay, to be fair. Dakota. Hey, his first name is Dakota. Yeah,
Yeah, all the
true
cool
that.
kids are named Dakota.
It was Juan. I remember it was a Spanish name. Beautiful like his butt cheeks. Amen. Amen. I think that's a good place to leave us off. I loved talking about this with. It's so nice to be back. It's so nice to be back and talking about queer shit. Yeah. Thanks, chat, for being here and hanging out. I know it was like very disorganized again. I actually do have. I made a graphic with December's plan, so I'll post it up on the Twitter, and maybe I'll ask about where it should go on Facebook. So if you like follow the IFLC groups on Twitter, on Facebook, I'll try and post it around there. And I know that G and Ains are like very active in the Facebook groups if you want to talk to them directly or ask questions about cool shit, DC related shit, queer related shit. Just say like, obviously respectful, inclusive, otherwise you get booted. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I think that's it. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to say before I take us out?
Be nice to each other.
No, just be gay, do comics.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Be gay, do comics.
Be gay.
All right.